Hello and welcome to another video. So guess what's going off in this video? It's another fry unboxing. So I've ordered another 1,000 fry again. God knows where I'm putting all these fish, but there we go. So this year, as I say, I learn something every year, and taking my time with it is the way I'm going to do it this year. So I'm just going to take my time. I'm going to let them float on the top of the pond for a bit, and I'm going to read the book. Always best to read the book. So that's where the fishes are from, Cuttlebrook Koi Farm. So if you're after some fishes, have a look at them. So let's have a go. This is how they come out. They're quite well wrapped. It's funny when you're carrying these boxes, they do wobble about a bit with the water inside. I can feel that it's quite cold in here. In fact, one of the things I want to do is see what temperature the water actually is. Right, so let's just get these out of the box, get them floating on top of the pond, and try to do it all gently. Whee. There you can see all the little fishes. They look happy anyway. I don't think the camera will be able to see them, but we'll have a look in a bit. So let me get them on top of the pond. So there we go, that's them on the top of the pond. Just going to let them float there for a bit. I think there is a little bit of difference between the temperatures. The temperature of this tank is at 23 degrees almost, and there's just absolutely nothing I can do about that. Because that's literally what my tap water is at the minute. So without some sort of cooling equipment on the tank, I won't get any colder than that. So there we go. But in my experience, a rise in temperature is not as bad as a fall in temperature. So they should be quite happy in there for a bit. I'm just going to let them float, probably 20 minutes, something like that. But in the meantime, what we'll do is we'll get some salt in the pond, because there's no salt in it in a minute, and I do like to salt it when the fry come in. So let's get on with that. So here we are with the salting process. The fish have been floating for about 5 or 10 minutes now. I might actually float them a little bit longer. So when I got them, they were 18 degrees, and obviously my water's 23 almost, so that's quite a bit of difference. So I think I'll leave it a good half an hour, something like that. It'll also give this salt a chance to settle in. So this, surprisingly, is half of the amount of salt this pond requires. Even though it's such a small pond, 0.75 is a lot of salt. This is where you're going to find out exactly what your pond's water volume is. So, you know, water meters are not very accurate at measuring a pond's water volume, and sort of measuring it's not particularly very accurate. The most accurate way is to get a specific amount of salt, so you know what kilos of salt you're putting in, and a salt tester, and that way you'll know exactly what your pond's water volume is. So I think this pond's water volume is 1,800 litres, including all the filters and everything. So that the amount of salt I'm putting in should get me to 0.75. I'm particularly avoiding saying exactly what salt I'm putting in case people do the exact same amount thinking that's the right amount. It varies on your size of tank, so work it out for yourselves. As you can see, it says in the instruction book, do it to 0.75%, which is a hell of a lot of salt, but you know, it's what they say to do, and it does work. There we go. Let's get in the other half. So here we are with the second dose. Again, I'd actually recommend having, if you're going to salt ponds to this level, you really should have a way of testing how much salt you've put in. There are plenty of salt testers that you can get at the minute. The one I use is this Acclimating thing, and it is this. I've had this years. The deer, they're quite expensive, but I have had it years, and it is very accurate, and it remains very accurate as well, which is rare for them sort of things. I've been quite pleased with that particular one. I really think if you're bringing your salt levels up to these levels, you really need to know exactly what salt is in there. Because if say I think my pond is 1,800 litres and it isn't, it's 1,200, and I'm bringing it up to 0.75, that means it's going to end up, you know, about 1. So, which is too much, in my opinion. I don't really know what the fish can actually handle, but any more than 0.75, I'd have said that were about your limit, to be honest. There we go. So let's leave the fishes to float a little bit longer and leave this salt to settle in. What I'll do, I'll probably stir it around because you don't want this white stuff on the bottom. And then I'll test the water and see what salt level we're at. So I've just put a little mesh grill on the bottom there, just because the holes in that plate on the bottom are a little bit too big for these fish, and they will get through it into my filtration system. So that is one of the most important things to think about really with the fry, is that they are very small fish and they will get anywhere that very small fish can get. So if you've got a pump in the tank that they're in, they will get inside that pump. I had quite a few people last year ask me why my fish are falling to bits. My fry literally fall to bits. They look like they've been through a blender. They've been through your pump. It is surprising what's like. Them holes there look very small, and they are very small. They can quite comfortably get through them. So I put like an incredibly fine mesh over it. The mesh I put over that's like a mosquito net kind of thickness. So you know, you really need to make sure that they can't get anywhere into your filtration system, into your pump or anything like that, or you will just come to your tank one day and find a blended load of fish. Right, so I'm going to let in a little bit of water from the pond, like so. I hope this all works. And then I'm going to open the bag. So once you've opened the bag is when you really need to get them out as quick as possible. When you need to get them out as quick as possible. Deep. Because when you let the fresh air to the bag, the water starts to go quite toxic for them. I'm hoping that I should be able to let this bag of water into there quite comfortably. Shall we record it? Well, grab that. Come on, keep working. Slowly does it. Sure I've not trapped any in the bag. Put them in the bag. Give me up. Look at them. They look good. Have a closer look. There's some absolutely lovely fishes in there. These are all stuff, you know, stuff with red and white in it, red, white and black, so your showers, your sankies, graphia, stuff like that. So yeah, it'd be nice to see how these ones mature. Nice to get some more red and more fish with red on them. Right, so best to get them out of this water as quickly as possible. I'm hoping that we're going to be fine going straight into this tank. Of course, usually I do put them into a keep net. There we go. I think they should be. What? See if I can count them. So I'm not putting this water out of that bag in this pond either, no chance. It'll be enough of a shock for the pond putting all these fish in it rather than having this water in it as well is not ideal for it. So there we go, all the little fishies are in the pond and looking really good. It's nice to see some of the little fishies in it again, and can't wait to watch these ones grow up. Yeah, this is the first time I've actually let them straight into this tank, I think. Usually I do put them in the net and it does look funny with them all quite well spread out. But I think they'll be better off like this because the food tends to settle in like one of the corners just here, and when it does that, obviously they're in the net, they can't eat it, can they? So I'm hoping that they should be better off just out of the tank. God, the tank looks lovely and clean as well. It does look good when it's clean. Yeah, you can get a good view of the. So them holes in the bottom, as you can see, look, with that black fish going past. They're small holes, but them fish are smaller. But they can't get through that mesh that's on top. Hopefully, we'll see. There we go. Should be happy. So that's another thing as well, fresh water going in. So that's where the fresh water goes in this pond, and it's controlled by this here. And usually what I like to do, let me just move the camera, is set up a trickle. So I've probably said thousands of times about trickling water in. There we go, that's my trickle set up. So that's the trickling of fresh water that's coming into this pond. It's obviously running through a dechlorinator, and it's 100% necessary. I say it all the time, trickles are the best way to do water changes for fish, but for fry, I mean, you will struggle to do it as water changes. You will need, if I were doing this pond as water changes, I would have to do it every day, and you miss a day and you're in trouble. You really are. It's just, and on top of that, the water changes aren't as good as actually the trickle. So it is really important to have a trickle of fresh water on a fry tank. It really makes a lot of difference, and it'll keep them quite happy. And also that, as it says in the instructions, the salt needs to come out or be reduced from 0.75 within a week. So to do that, you'll need a trickle. There's no other way of doing it. I mean, your plants won't be happy. Unfortunately, these plants here are in a tub. You can see a little water feature. They're in a tub that gets the water, so the water comes out of here and into that, and plants there. So my plants won't be very pleased, but I don't really care. I'm not too fussed about that. They'll live with it or not. We'll see. I don't think the local wildlife will be very pleased either, because the birds tend to bath in that bath quite a lot. But, you know, it's only for a week. So there we go, let's leave them for a bit and we'll come and have a look in a bit. So let's talk about food for a minute. So this is the food that we'll be starting off with. It's obviously from Cuttlebrook Koi Farm. I tend to get their food with the fry because, you know, it's always done me quite well in the past. All of my fry that I've got from Cuttlebrook have been brought up on Cuttlebrook's fry food, so can't complain with it. I start off with this bag, so a bit smaller bag. This is what they'll have for the first, until I run out of this bag basically. This is what I do with 1,000 of them. So we've got the 0.5 to 0.8 mil pellet in this bag and 1.5 kilos of it. This will basically do them until I run out of it, and then they'll need to move on the second size, which is a 10 kilo tub of 0.8 to 1.2. So, you know, I tend to get the 10 kilo tub of it, Because generally, again, when they want the next size pellet, I'll have run out of that tub. So that sort of level of food does me well for 1,000 fish. Basically, when I run out of one, they can move on to the next size, and when I run out of the other, they can move on to, well, when I run out of the 10 kilo tub, they'll move on to a 3mm pellet. And there should be quite a decent size by the time I run out of all that food. So yeah, it's they're looking quite well. In fact, they're already looking as though they could eat a little bit. So I might put some food in. So let's try a bit of this food. Put a sprinkle in. See if they notice. A couple of them have spotted it. Just something they're going to have to get used to. Where the food comes in and where it moves, they'll get used to it in time, they'll learn it and all that. And then, as I always do, I'll train them to fishies. You've got to start shouting fishies when you get to the side of the pond, which works really well. Shouting fishies is definitely one of the reasons why I can get my fish to come to me without putting food in. They really get to know your voice, and they do come to you wanting food. It's quite good there. So there we go, the fishes have settled in nicely. They're very much used to where they get the food from, and I think they're quite enjoying this tank. They're enjoying it without the net. So usually, obviously, I put the other ones in the net. These ones seem to be exploring the entire pond, which is quite nice. They do stay around this area where I put food in, but they've definitely got used to me feeding them already, which is really good. Really hard to film fish and get the cameras to focus on them. I'm really not very good at it at all, but hopefully you can see them alright. There's some lovely little fish in there. Can't wait to see them grow up, and I'm sure there'll be plenty more videos of these fish as they get bigger and as they grow up, so we'll see how we go on with them. So if you like this video, then please like it. If you want to see more videos like this, then please feel free to subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, then please put them down below, and I shall see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.